Hey yo, Chiksua. Today we're going to show you guys how to get number 1 in the 3 Powerful Brothers final boss. So if you're new on this channel and this is going to be helpful, definitely make sure to subscribe. We also made a video how to 3-turn the final boss on auto. Depending on how high your CC is, you can even just 2-turn it. And we definitely gonna do a top 10% as well, so that you guys can know without the Barn team how to get a decent score in order to get all the rewards. So first of all, we don't use any food. The reason is basically we use the authors where we don't use food because we definitely need the ults. Because without ults, it's almost impossible to kill, I would say. And especially when we get attacks hit and stuff. So the artifact set, we want to just have as much health as possible so that we gain more points from HP. And now coming to the gears. So Barn just on a typical HP crit damage build. So as much HP as you can. And Terry also on an HP build. If you don't have a high ult level on Terry, you might trouble a little bit in killing, so you might have to actually wait for the other video. Or you have to luck cycle basically with more stacks of Terry so that you deal more damage with the ult. And our Twigo, obviously, if you can, your gear as well. And yeah, now we're just going to jump into it and we're going to explain step by step, or at least I will try to explain step by step what to do, because at the end it's still a voiceover and yeah, I'm not that good in that. Depending on the card draw, you do different beginnings, so I always use the stance of Arthur and most likely also the AoE of Arthur. If I draw another AoE, I just merge or dissolve basically only when one of the units actually have the merge and have an ult gauge, because dissolving gives you points. And yeah, here we actually get some pretty nice cards, so we're gonna try to make it a one and done. So sometimes I might be like a bit slow with my brain and I don't remember in the run at all what we're going to do. Here, because I didn't had, or usually what I want is I want to use a 2-star swipe of Barn in this turn, and because we didn't have a 2-star, I just burned a buff, and as you can see, we didn't even really deal, or yeah, we didn't really deal the damage mark we wanted, but we have a lot of stances, we have a lot of buffs, which made me thinking about continuing this run, and it was more or less worth it, because even though this run is a little bit worse, it was at that point still a number 1 run, and because I had the same score as the current one, I was like, damn, I gotta continue. So because we have so many stances, we just use them, and we have to use 8 in total, which is like super nice because we even get more. So depending on the card draw, I either would have gotten the ult of Barn last turn, or in this case obviously in this turn. So here we are just definitely gonna make sure to get the Barn ult. Let me see what I probably would do. I probably have to move with Barn 2 times and then using the Arthur stance, because a 2-star Terry, it still dissolves 2 times, which I don't know, does it even give points? We have to check that, because I honestly am not sure if a 2-star dissolve gives the same score as if we would dissolve 2 times, but yeah, even more Terry cards. Here I remember I kind of misplayed, because I should have kept the Barn buffs in between, so I don't have to burn all the stances, so that I could have just used the dissolve in this turn instead of actually burning 2 stances. Damn, I just said that. Well, but yeah, so we want to move to transition with the Barn ult. Optimally, we get one of the crits to get the 400k damage mark, because I once had a really good run, but both times when we moved to transition and when we finished, Barn did not want to crit. Here, if we can, we want to gain basically as many points as we can. So for example, a swipe gives us points. Optimally, like a 2-star swipe or a golden swipe would be really great, but we can't do that. And now we just burned the ult of Terry already, because I was like, why not? We can just deal the damage early on, and now the enemies, they are super low, and we get like an overdose of Barn cards, which is actually pretty bad, because if we would have gotten, like, for example, only 1 Barn card and a stance, that would have been better. But it's still pretty decent, and luckily Estarossa didn't attack, because if Estarossa would have attacked in this turn, he would have just gotten killed by our Terry, and now we can just basically merge and burn some cards to maximize our card draw. I think we buff here, because it's turn 7, yeah, we definitely have to buff here. We can even buff in turn 7, in turn 6 already, but yeah, in turn 6 we didn't had the golden buff yet. So now we have basically everything ready to finish. So here we just use another stance just in case that we didn't finish yet. We're gonna ult with Arthur, and obviously a Arthur, if he deals 150k mark, we gain additional points and he can lifesteal. As you can see, he's not full health, which is kind of annoying, so we do this, we just burn a stance and we finish off with the Barn ult. And yeah, that's basically it. As I said, this is going to be the worst run, and afterwards we're going to show you guys an even better run. Here we actually got the 400k damage marks 2 more times again, and I was remembering, I was so mad because earlier when I had a run, it didn't crit at all in both of the turns when we used ult, which is super annoying. But yeah, this is how to get 6.6k score. Wait, yeah, this was exactly the number 1 before. So here we actually have the same starting, so he has 2 ult gauges, so we can just use the dissolve right away. And I think in this run we actually get another swipe, so you guys can see in turn 2 we want to actually use a 2-star swipe. So we're just gonna merge it and use the 2-star swipe. And do we burn the 2 stances? I think we might burn the 2 stance. No, we can only burn 1 stance, never mind, because we have to merge, use the 2-star, because the 2-star deals the better damage cap, and then we are just going to burn the stance in order to get more card draw. I should probably, instead of using the left stance, I should have probably used the right side stance, because the problem is if we use the left stance, we actually take the risk that we get that golden barn buff immediately, but luckily nothing like that happened, so we are totally good to go. Also something which gives you a lot of points is, like, for example, if you get more Arthur stances than Terry stances, because Terry stances, they are just basically only for the mission, while Arthur stance gives you actually points when you're going to get the dissolve activated. But yeah, that is nothing we can control, and luckily Arthur basically tanks a lot of damage for us, and his relic gonna heal him up a lot. So if you don't have the Arthur relic, I totally forgot to mention that, then you're screwed as well. So here we don't want the Barn ult yet, or no, we want to have the Barn ult but don't have the golden, or we want to fuck guys, I'm sorry, we don't want the golden buff yet, because if we don't have that, it is way easier to rush the ult in phase 2 later on. And here, very interesting card draw. Unfortunately, still no stance of Arthur, so I think we're just gonna burn those 2 stances and then use the ult to move to transition, obviously, because basically it's almost the same thing like the previous run, just that we have the golden card now, or basically all the buff cards already, so we don't have to risk it or anything, or we don't have to hope for a card. So we use the right side stances so that we don't get an instant merger, because if we get an instant merger into the Barn buffs, that is actually not a good thing, because that means our grey buff runs out earlier and we just lose in damage. So here also super lucky that we got that merger, so more or less lucky, because we get that grey buff earlier, but yeah, we can still just use the stance, we AoE, and I think we just decided to ult immediately, because we have 2 stacks already, it does a lot of damage, so why not? And I think that was maybe even the best decision I did, because you guys will see how cool it was to make that decision. So here, first of all, we dealt 150k twice, unfortunately not 3 times. The merger into the Terry stance is very, very unfortunate though, because yeah, obviously we rather want to use them separately for the mission, but I think we use so many stances already, it doesn't even matter for this run. So here I still remember, it took me really a long time, I wasn't sure what I should do, but I saw that we can actually get the, or we can start getting the ult of our Terry again. And I also saw if we're going to move first and just burn both of the buffs, we maximize our card draw, which is actually way, way better. And basically now we're just hoping for more stances in order to get more points, because the only cards which basically now give us points are Arthur stances, but unfortunately the RNG is not really on our side, so all we get are buffs and another swipe, and we are attack sealed anyway, so the Zeldris is attack sealing us permanently, so it's not going to be worth it to draw any attack cards. And if we use a golden buff, also any buffs of Arn they are just useless. So here, there's no way around. We just move basically and use the stance of Terry and get the ult. So this was what I meant with here, guys. We were super lucky that we actually were able to get the Terry ult twice. So usually I got, like, for example, the Arthur ult instead of Terry ult, but we definitely gonna take this. So if we would have gotten like a Mercher or a little bit more luck with Merchers, we could have probably gotten the Arthur ult as well. So with the Arthur ult, it would have been maybe even better, but all in all, it's still a very great run. Unfortunately though, Zeldris took a lot of damage, which means we're gonna lose in 50 points plus, because the Terry, he's definitely gonna just one-shot the Zeldris. So that's why I was checking the HP, and yeah, unfortunately there's nothing we can do about it. But still, like, even though we don't get the 150k damage mark, it's still decent, and here we just move because that at least gives us 3 points, because if we use a card afterwards, it won't help us at all. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. We got another crit again, so even if we would have missed, for example, the crits in phase 1 when we moved to transition, we would have gotten that now. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. That is how we can get 6,700 score, which is unfortunately now just a rank 2 run. I really hope it was helpful or you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and peace out for now.